Hello YouTube, this is Asatsu5. I'll try to make this quick. This is a video over are books better than movies? From the perspective of someone who suffers from dyslexia and ADHD. For the longest time, books were out of the question for me. I'm technically literate, I can read, I have a library, but it's not a very enjoyable thing for me. I have to really fight and push through to finish a carbon copy book. But I have discovered audiobooks, some of you who subscribe to me know, and I recently finished the Lord of the Rings series. Not only Lord of the Rings, the book and movie, Fellowship, Two Towers, and Return of the Kings movie and book respectively, but also The Hobbit, which The Hobbit is a single book that has 3 movies. But anyways, I was trying to pinpoint why people say books are better than the movies, and I think I've figured it out. And by the way, just to go ahead and get this out of the way, the Lord of the Rings books are more epic than the movies, and the Hobbit movies are more epic than the book. So that's my personal opinion, and I could probably elaborate on that, but that would be a long video. Anywho, what I've learned from watching the movie versus reading the book is that you get a lot more details about what the characters are thinking and their relationships between other people than you do in the movies. And for example, Sam Gamgee has a pony named Bob. No, it was Bill. It was either Bill or Bob. I want to say it's Bill. And in the book, it talks about this pony and about how, when they first get him, he's really gaunt and scrawny and, not much desirable about him. And Sam Gamgee takes care of him, and he actually becomes a pretty fit pony. And he has to release Bill from when they get to Moria. In the movie, you have this random pony just around, but, he's only called by name once. And he's like, oh man, I'm really worried about the pony because of the wolves and stuff. But that's pretty much the end of it. But in the book, there was a lot more emotion connected between Sam Gamgee and the pony. Not only that, in the books in general, but more specifically, the Lord of the Rings books, you get way more information. Tom Bombadil is missing from the movie. The battle at the Shire is missing. And also in the books, they have like little essays about hobbits, pipeweed. And that pipeweed is penned by Merry, one of the hobbits from Lord of the Rings. And you have a lot more information, little essays, little appendixes that give you some background and stuff. And so I think that's why people say the books are better than the movies. And with the Lord of the Rings, the CGI is awesome. The story arc is awesome. It doesn't deviate too much, which in general, when you're going to get a movie versus a book, there's going to be some deviation. And I think it was a little bit unfair for Christopher Tolkien to say that he wasn't a fan of the new Lord of the Rings movie. I think they did a good job, and I think he should be pretty proud of it. But, of course, he might just have super high standards and didn't want anything changed. But in the Hobbit movie, just to show you my limitation with imagination, in the book, I pictured Smaug, the dragon, to be about the size of a pickup truck, and that his gold horde was roughly the same size, maybe a little bit bigger. But in the movie, Smaug is about the size of a mansion, and not only that, the gold horde is like 10 times bigger than him. I mean, this gold horde would not be able to fit in the White House, because if it would fill the White House from ceiling to floor, and you would still have stuff that's not fit in there. There's so much more gold. The dragon's so much more bigger, and so the movie just seemed to be a lot more epic than my imagination would allow it to be if I just read the book. And like I said, it was the exact opposite in the Lord of the Rings series. The books had a lot more information and seemed a little bit more epic to me than the actual movie. But I enjoyed them all. And the only Middle Earth Tolkien book that I didn't enjoy was the Silmarillion, and I think that's because it had a bad narrator, and it didn't quite read like a narrative, but it had a lot of background information that was supposed to accompany the Lord of the Rings book. And my favorite part of that particular book was the last hour of it when they talked about wizards. And when you listen to the Silmarillion about wizards, and you listen to the book, and you watch the movies, you really get to see how awesome Gandalf is, and and the role of wizards, because the wizards are not really mortal. They're more of angelic beings sent to do God's work in that worldview. They do have a supreme being, and they do have a creation myth, creation story, and so it's very interesting. The stuff that's referenced in the books and the movies, but the Silmarillion gives you background on all of that stuff, and it just so happens that it's not a light read at all. But if you watch the movie Return of the Kings, you'll notice that Gandalf has to go across the ocean to the Undying Lands, and he has a ring. And first off, you'll probably think to yourself, why does Gandalf have to go? He's not a ring bearer. You understand Frodo and Bilbo and Lady Galadriel and Aragorn. You're like, okay, Aragorn, he had one hidden, but all of a sudden Gandalf has a ring, and he's a ring bearer. And so the Silmarillion and some of the extra content that's at the end of the books shed some light on that. But I really enjoyed the whole book / movie thing, and I can enjoy them both because I'm severely dyslexic and severely dysgraphic. The movies do serve a purpose, and something that you can do with the movie that you can't quite capture with the book is that every piece of armor can have a scratch or a chip or a notch, and a lot of stuff that actually just that immerses you into the thing. And with the books, a lot of the battle scenes, you just have to assume what's going on. You don't really get, mass decapitations or blood splatter or that kind of stuff. In general, it's Mary stabbed so and so, but that's about it. Or so and so stabbed so and so, and his sword got stuck. But there's a lot more stuff going on in that battle than just those two people fighting. So it gives you a really sense of urgency and some anxiety when all these battle scenes are playing out. That's not really in the books. So that's it. That's the video. I hope you enjoyed it. Like I said, good content either way, books or movies. And I have found out the most important thing you can have when narrating a Lord of the Rings book, when it comes to the Lord of the Rings or the Hobbit, is having your Gandalf voice and your Gollum voice, or Smeagol. So if you have those two voices, you're going to have a decent Lord of the Rings audiobook. But Smeagol is very important, and Gandalf's important. Gandalf has to sound powerful and authoritative, and Smeagol has to sound really weird. And so I thought that was an interesting observation. Hello, YouTube. This is Asatsu5, and I wanted to take time to talk about Tom Bombadil. He is an interesting character. He says he's like the eldest of the things on Earth. He remembers the first raindrop that fell on Middle-earth. He remembers the first acorn. And he's interesting in other ways as well. He is not essential to the storyline, but he has some interesting qualities. He sings as his weapon. And in the Lord of the Rings, Middle-earth world, singing is very prominent. Also, he is not afraid of the ring. He is not human, so it doesn't hold any power over him. Or it's weird. He's not human, elf, hobbit, dwarf. He is in a category of its own, and the ring holds no power over him. He could just casually puts the ring on, and he looks at it, and he takes it off, and he casually gives it to Frodo. And in the whole world of the ring that rules them all, no one just casually puts on the ring and then gives it to someone. Frodo tried to give it away to Lady Galadriel, and she flat out refused and said, "No, I will not take this ring. That is not what I'm going to do. That's not a small deal." And Gandalf's afraid of this ring. Frodo becomes to the point where he's attached to the ring, but Tom Bombadil, like, it is like no big deal to him, and I found that very interesting and very thought provoking. He is not essential to the story, but he is in the book, A Fellowship of the Rings, and on the Return of the Rings, he's referenced as well. But he is an interesting character that doesn't fit neatly into the story of Middle Earth. He doesn't appear to be. Well, he almost seems like a demigod, and it seems that he might be based off of a Finnish demigod that has a name that I can't pronounce, that has a lot of similar features. But anyways, he doesn't he doesn't seem to be angelic. He seems to be maybe the first created creation on Middle Earth. Maybe that might be a good way to describe him. So that's it. Hope you enjoy. So that's it. I'm a Saucy 5, and I'm out.